Hello, everyone. My name is Fernando, and this is the first episode of my podcast. Check out this flick. It's mostly just me talking about movies, reviewing movies. Essentially down the line, I want to be able to make shorts and stuff like that, a little bit of content for the channel. But for now, this is humble beginnings, so I am just gonna talk a little bit about myself. I went to school out in Eastern Oregon, EOU, and I went to school for film out there. Writing, directing, and acting were kind of my emphasis. But before that, I was, and still am, a huge cinephile. I really just enjoy watching movies. I have ever since I was a little kid. My dad used to take us to the movies pretty much every Friday. On top of that, we would collect VHS, make sure we've got the widescreen VHS, special collector's edition of things. So I bring that into my adult life, and now here I am, starting a podcast, talking about it. Cool. Well, I just kind of want to go a little down the rabbit hole a bit about some of the movies that I like, and some of the things that I guess encouraged me to want to make films. And talk about them. So starting with that, I guess I'll go with a classic. One of movies that I've seen since, I can't even remember, way back when. Just love it. It's all-time favorite movies, at least top 5 for sure in my life. So, yeah. Anyway, that movie's Jaws. This is just hands down one of my favorite all-time movies. Steven Spielberg, first big major motion picture, freaking knocks it out of the park. It's a classic, still is, made all the way back in 1975, and geez, it still holds up. I watch this movie at least once a year, always around the 4th of July or beginning of summer. So, Jaws is a must own in any cinephile collection, right? Another one, I remember seeing it in 8th grade, if I'm not mistaken. One of the first horror movies I watched on VHS. I owned it before that, but I had never watched it. Or I should say my family owned it. And that is Halloween, the original. I still have the VHS, but it is not up here with me. It is down in California. So, I make do with my 4K here. I love this movie. John Carpenter. Oh, man. I watch this movie, obviously, every Halloween. On Halloween. I can't get enough of this flick. This movie was so inspirational to me. Just going down the rabbit hole of wanting to make movies, and also the type of movies that I like, which ended up, a lot of them are horror movies, sci-fi horror generally, but yeah, Halloween is a must for me anyway. All right, so now we're going over to one of my all-time favorite movies. Probably is my top favorite movie of all time. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Stephen King, and I remember when I saw this movie, I was too young to see it in theaters, but I saw it quite a bit after, and when I watched it, my brain kind of exploded because didn't realize, well, one, that it was Stephen King, and then when I realized it was Stephen King, I kind of just felt flabbergasted because I didn't realize he did things outside of the horror genre. I mean, this is more of a drama, yeah, and there is some horrible humans within the story, but it's Shawshank Redemption. It's just, hands down, anytime I'm feeling bummed out, depressed, whatever, I throw this on. Andy Dufresne's life, prison sentence, and the things he goes through are way worse than anything I've ever gone through. So, usually coming out of it, I just kind of feel a little relieved, a little better about myself. But also, the friendship between, Red and Andy Dufresne, oh man, just classic. That ending scene on the beaches in Mexico, just gets me every time. Right. So here's one that is on also my top 5. God, I love this movie ever since I was a kid. I don't think I owned it. I think we had like a VHS that had this movie on it, but we didn't actually own, a copy of the movie. But I found one eventually. It's RoboCop. RoboCop. Oh my lord, I love this movie. This is another one. I could watch this anytime. If it's on TV, whatever, cable, streaming, I'm watching it. I will stop whatever I'm doing and just watch it. I even got a 4K here, and I think I have behind me a just regular DVD of it. So I don't know. I've been collecting this movie. I just love this flick. Hands down, just a solid story, solid sci-fi. Oh man. And yeah, God, solid performances across the board too. All right, so these two movies, like I said, I had some VHS in my life before. My dad was kind of a collector, and we had an uncle that passed away, and he ended up giving me a lot of his VHS, and a lot of them were horror movies and whatnot. So like Halloween was one of them, Evil Dead, a couple other flicks, Hellraiser. But when I got to high school, I watched... This is a twofer, by the way. I watched this movie, and this movie helped me realize how much I just love horror. God. Yeah. It's Scream. And obviously the twofer is Scream 2. And these two movies were pretty much some of the first movies I bought with my own money. And these are them. I still have them after all these years. I mean, the cases are kind of a little worse for the wear here, but gosh, I still have them. They're awesome. Scream and Scream 2. I know a lot of Scream fans aren't really fond of Part 2, but I don't know. Those two movies are the best ones for me in the franchise. I love them. I watch them quite often. They still hold up. They're funny, gory, a little bit scary. Back then, I was a little more scared of Ghostface, but these days, I'm just like, Ghostface is kind of silly to me, but I love him. But yeah, I just cannot get enough of this, and the franchise in general. I love even the newer ones. I think are pretty fun. We'll go into those a little bit later. This is a movie that, oh man, I just can't get enough of. Also on my top 5, or if not top 5, at least top 10. I remember renting this movie fairly often, next to the last movie I have here. But this one, I remember my dad had a laser disc of it, and we watched it when we were kids a lot, and it's Beetlejuice. I mean, how can you not get enough of Beetlejuice? Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder. God, this movie's so awesome. I still love it till this day. Tim Burton flick, obviously. Solid movie. The sequel's pretty good, pretty decent. Not my favorite movie, but the first one doesn't beat the first one by any means, but it's a decent hold up, decent sequel, so I enjoyed it. But the first one's where it's at, all day, every day. Next one, another one I never owned, and I freaking searched the depths of the oceans and every video store I could to find this, more recently anyway. Okay, maybe I'm over-exaggerating quite a bit, but this movie has been a favorite, and oh man, I cannot get enough of it. Still watch this movie all the time. I don't care if it's a little dated. I love it. Again, I rented this movie almost every time I went into the video store, or at least I had it in my hands thinking about renting it, and it's Monster Squad. I just love Monster Squad. I cannot get enough of this movie. It's, I don't know, it just has one of those like special places in my heart kind of thing. It's a nice mixture of like Goonies and horror with the old Universal type monsters. God, Wolfman's got nards. I mean, how can you not love that movie, right? How could you not? And these ones are more. I got 2 more movies here, and I just kind of recently got them. One I bought yesterday, which was pretty wild finding it out there. When I stumbled upon it, I was just like, oh my god, and I just snagged it, and I had like, my kung fu grip on it until I bought it. And it is Night of the Creeps. Yeah. I caught on to this movie a little later in my horror movie watching game, but instant love it. This movie's wild. Thrill me. Tom Atkins. How can you... Tom Atkins is a pimp in almost any movie he's in. He's awesome. Yeah. And then, obviously, this is more of a newer one. I haven't even opened yet. But this franchise has been one of my favorites since I watched it. And obviously the third one here, I really enjoyed. And when they released this collector's edition VHS of it, I just knew I had to buy it. It's Terrifier 3 on VHS. And I believe behind me, back there, I have part 2 on VHS. Also the collector's edition. Oh man, I don't know. Terrifier. Something about Art the Clown doing his crazy antics, just going to town on people, over the top gore. I'm in. I'm just in it. I just love watching them. So, yeah, that's just, a little sample, a little taste of potentially what I am going to be doing. I will be doing a little bit more reviews. I probably will have like a top 5 list and maybe expand on like top 10 or whatever. Do deep dives into videos. Some of my favorites. Yeah. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.